This is the 29th episode of CloudFocus Weekly for the last week of January 2011. This episode is titled Form of a Question. CloudFocus Weekly is sponsored by Arkus, your cloud computing experts. I'm your host, Jason Atwood, and joining me 29 times in a row, my good buddy, my co-founder, partner, Justin Edelstein. Justin, how you doing?
Who is Justin Edelstein?
That would have been funnier. Let's put that back in post.
I did a good job.
Yeah, you did a good job. We have an agenda today. We are going to talk about, speaking of Jeopardy questions, talk about Watson and Jeopardy, which is a blog post that you wrote.
I did.
Watson Beyond Jeopardy. And then we'll talk about Verizon bundling some Google goodies with their broadband. Kind of an interesting take on cloud services. Amazon is launching a new bulk email services and how that matches up with other people. And then Will.i.am is actually have a new job. We'll talk about that in terms of relation to Salesforce, because it's kind of because there's an interesting little moment that went on at Dreamforce. So we'll talk about that. And we'll wrap it up with our CloudFocus app pick of the week. And that'll be great. And that'll end off our January. So first up is your blog post.
My blog post.
Called Watson Beyond Jeopardy. Tell us about it.
I've been seeing commercials for Watson for the last couple of weeks, for those who are not aware.
Is that the one that goes to the clouds?
No. For those not aware of the commercials...
Is that the commercial about Google Wave?
No.
Okay.
They don't do commercials about products that are no longer in existence for them, even though it still exists. Anyway, I've been seeing these commercials for the last couple of weeks about a IBM, R&D project, you could call it, called Watson, which is a computer program system entity that is going to be participating in a game of Jeopardy against former grand champions. Very similar to how IBM created, what was it called, like Deep Blue or something like that played chess against a grand chess champion master.
Yes, they did.
And won. They've now created a computer that can understand linguistics and can compete on Jeopardy. So I thought it was a really interesting challenge, right? Because Jeopardy has a lot of different, ways of forming questions, which in essence are answers, and then you have to ask the whatever in the form of a question. And I thought that it was interesting because it has a lot of implications for what a computer could potentially do down the road, right? So if you can create a computer that can do such complicated things as compete on Jeopardy, meaning it has a limited knowledge base, which they sort of feed it, and it can understand what it's being asked to answer and decide, I either know this or don't know this, so I'm going to buzz in and then answer it. That's pretty impressive. So I started thinking about, well, how could that have some implications in the real world, in the business world of computing? And I thought about, first my mind went right to customer service and how if you can understand or have algorithms to understand even better all the different angles of how somebody might ask you a question or their past experiences, what they currently own or don't own, how they talk, their location that might bring slang into the equation, all sorts of these different angles, how could that possibly lead to better customer service? And I'm sure that, you out there listening could probably think of many, many other instances where a computer that can understand the language and reach out and get facts to answer questions in such a rapid manner that it can compete on Jeopardy. I'm sure you can figure out other real-world uses for this system.
What makes it interesting is that you would think if you just said this, a computer to answer trivia questions, you would think, well, the computer is obviously fairly equipped to answer trivia questions. It's a lookup and it's a question-answer type of situation. Who was the president in 1942, right? That type of thing. But really, way Jeopardy does it is all based on sort of pop culture references, and it's referencing the answer through not the word. It's trying not to say it. So the answer is he might have a situation at the shore, right? And you go, who is Mike the situation from the Jersey Shore, right? But there's nothing in there that kind of tells you that. It's you referencing. It's the way the brain works, which is impressive because that's what makes this, I guess, a big deal, is that they're building this computer, this supercomputer, to try to do reasoning beyond just number crunching. So it's using references, it's using language, linguistics, and it's and matching on those terms to come up with the answers. So it'll be interesting, and I'd also like to stop seeing the ad on TV.
I can't wait for it to happen.
Do we know when the date is?
I think it's in early February.
So it's coming up.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll report back after it happens, see who wins.
I hope Watson wins. I'm rooting for Watson.
You are?
Yeah.
I assume it's the
Down with the human.
It's the Sherlock Holmes Watson reference, but we'll see. All right, next up is Verizon, who made a big splash a couple weeks ago by launching the new iPhone 4, or not the old new iPhone, but an iPhone 4, which everybody else on AT&T already has, is now bundling Google applications with broadband. So if you can buy broadband access, and it'll bundle in Google Apps, which I think is a nice connector, right? There seems to be, for small businesses, they say, who might not even know that Google Apps exist, they probably know Gmail exists, but to bundle in sort of the connection to the cloud with the cloud, right? A smart move, and I think takes us in a direction that as more and more companies, we've talked about how broadband providers are cable providers and Verizon cellular providers. They're not totally excited about people just using up their bandwidth, right? So for streaming and things like that, some cable or some providers are now saying, you know what, this is the way to make money by bundling, and I'm sure they get a referral kickback off of it. I think it's interesting that Verizon's taking the stance that we're not going to fight this and say we're going to ban you from doing things over our network, but we're going to bundle in the things that make you use our network more.
Yep, and they're even offering 3 free user accounts and a free domain name if they bundle apps with their internet service, which is interesting. They're finding ways to sell sort of the backbone, the access to the internet without having to then create the applications themselves to allow you to then use the internet. So it's, be more productive on the internet, which is kind of interesting. One question that I would have for Verizon, and I don't know if we have the answer just yet, is will they block Google Voice in this bundle? Because Google Voice sort of circumvents Verizon from then selling you their phone service.
Yeah, it's interesting. I would think not, because I know some people who work for Verizon, and like most big companies, one side doesn't know what the other side is doing, and I'm sure the broadband people just want you to buy broadband.
Well, they have voice over IP. I mean, they have that service. It's just,
but everything competes with everything.
I'd be interested to see if they would go so far as to say you can use Google Apps for calendar and Gmail and sites and docs and even video, but don't you touch that phone.
I can't imagine that Google would build a version of Google Apps that would allow them to take out pieces of what they consider core to their platform.
Maybe Verizon could block you from using it on their side.
I think that would probably go down in one of the worst moves in marketing history, up there with New
Just
Coke.
saying.
Alrighty.
Just saying.
Well,
Google Buzz.
Google.
I'm just looking at the article, and it has like a buzz button next to a tweet button, and there are 613 tweets and 12 buzzes. That's all I'm saying.
Google Buzz.
Google Buzz.
So
buzzing right along.
The next article is about Amazon, which is getting into the mass email market.
This is interesting.
It is, because Amazon Web Services, AWS, I think Amazon has some of the worst naming conventions with their product line. They try to name them all these easy to memorize, AWS and EC2 and things like that. I really wish they just
Mechanical Turk.
People should name things that make them memorable. But anyway, so they're now coming out with Amazon Simple Email Services, which is SES, which actually is
Amazon
ACES.
SES.
Yeah, which is ACES, which is, if you say it fast enough, it gets not good. But basically, it's a low-cost mass emailing service, email marketing service. And they're stacking it up, the articles from Read Write Web, stacking it up against a couple of the other providers like Cloud SMTP and CritSend and Postmark, SendGrid, and how basically the Amazon services are, rather inexpensive. 10 cents per 1,000 versus 50 or 21 or $1.50 or 80 cents. So they're undercutting even the cheapest by half, which puts them right into that market. Interesting on this is, again, Amazon did this originally because they had excess capacity. They built out their infrastructure just to handle 2 days a year, Black Friday and whatever Saturday, or Cyber Monday maybe. And then for the rest of the year, they have all this capacity. Well, I'm sure this is the same thing, that Amazon has incredible capacity to send emails. I buy a ton off Amazon, and I get a lot of emails from Amazon, and I'm sure they just have incredible capacity. Now they want to sell that capacity off to people and make some more money on it, which is a great model and interesting.
I just wonder how the interface will work for this. So, is this something that, you go to an actual interface and can, compose nicely composed marketing emails and send, or are they just, the back-end thing that sends the emails?
Yeah, I think it's the back-end thing that you can use as the server. So you build your program or use a program that does mass emails. You then hook it up to, when you put in the parameters for where you want to send it from, the SMTP server, a simple mail transfer protocol. Yes, I did. And you put in all that information, you would put in their services, and then you would get, for every email you send out, right? You send out 1,000, you get a bill, 10 cents. Yep. They will handle the bounce back stuff. And in a world of email where we're getting a lot into where emails come from, and your spam filters work off of where they came from. I don't recognize those servers. Having things come from Amazon servers is probably very good because people recognize Amazon servers. Spam bots recognize Amazon services and know it. So it'll be interesting. Again, another cloud offering. Amazon seems to continue to move down the path of building out their cloud offering. And then next up,
a little fun news.
Talking about cloud offering. It's nothing to do with cloud. The only reason this kind of made the cut for today was we were at Dreamforce, and in the front row with Mark Benioff, actually DJ'd and his music was blaring throughout the whole thing the whole time, was will.i.am from the Black Eyed Peas. And at one point, Mark Benioff gets down off the stage, and he's kind of going around in his sort of goofy fashion. I know he doesn't listen. And you're like, what do you think about the cloud? And you think about the cloud. This is after he pulls out all the devices out of his pocket. So he pulled the iPad out of his pants, and then goes up to will.i.am and says, well, what do you think about the cloud? And it felt kind of rehearsed. But then he goes into this speech about making music online and collaborating, but it didn't seem like he had rehearsed it. It seemed kind of off the cuff. Well, lo and behold, that was his interview, because he got hired by Intel, of all places, and he is now the Director of Creative Innovation, which is exactly the title I would want to have.
Yeah, that's a great title.
It is a great title.
I would take it. will.i.am has one of the... I saw another article about will.i.am that I was going to bring up as maybe part of the agenda, so it's funny that you brought an article up about will.i.am. He has this iPhone app that he launched for Black Eyed Peas. You can see their Twitter feeds and this and that, but it also has this really interesting, apparently groundbreaking way of viewing a music video. So he's like, the music video is dead. MTV doesn't play music videos anymore. Whatever. I'm going to launch it on this app, and it's like a virtual reality type of thing where if you were looking, you look at the screen of your iPhone, and then it's sort of playing the music, and it has people dancing at a party, and you sort of turn a 360-degree view around, and
so
it shows different people.
It's using your camera.
Yeah.
So it's not virtual reality. It's
augmented reality.
Augmented reality. Yeah.
So it's like you spin around in a circle, and you're seeing a party surrounding you with the Black Eyed Peas song playing, and you got a lot of kudos for that's a really creative way of distributing a music video.
Yeah, I think
through an application.
And it's a party in your house.
And it's a party all the time.
It's actually good reference. It's actually a good album, by the way. The End. Which one's the new one?
I don't know.
I think The End was the old one. This is The Beginning. The Beginning is the new album. It's very good. I actually listened to it a lot. I bought it after Dreamforce, of course, because they played it constantly. I got hooked. Well, it's interesting that they do this. I was on the iTunes store the other day, which is cloud related, and I downloaded free. I guess Bing was supporting a free application, and I thought, oh, well, let me see what they're doing with this, free. And it was a Katy Perry tap along song. So you know how things come down, you tap
Revenge.
Yes. So there's millions of them now, and they put them out independently of each other with different artists. So Bing was supporting for one of her songs. And I downloaded it because I wanted to see, okay, Katy Perry, isn't that interesting? And I played it, and it's kind of stupid. Things kind of fall down, and you hit them at the time they hit down. It's like Guitar Hero, but on your iPhone, and not Guitar Hero at all. And what did it do? Of course, played it once, which makes you listen to the whole song, and then it's in your head. And then it's in my head, and then I got to go purchase it. And then I got to buy the album. Or buy the song. I might have bought the album. Probably just the song. Really sad. But these little marketing technique things... very smart of him. I'm even thinking about going and buying this application.
I was thinking about buying it as well. Maybe we'll both buy it.
Maybe we will.
Maybe it'll be a pick of the week next week.
Maybe it will. Speaking of pick of the weeks, great Segui.
I try.
CloudFocus app pick of the week. This week is going to be started off sponsored by Justin and the letter J.
The letter J. What is the Force.com Explorer? You may ask.
I don't know. I would ask.
So this pick of the week comes from a loyal listener, MM, as he likes to be called. He listens ever since the first episode and sent me an email this week and said, hey, here's a CloudFocus app pick of the week. Why don't you mention this one?
So I love when our viewers or listeners send in their picks.
Yeah, I'm for sale. I'm just saying it right now. You can buy a pick of the week if you pay me for it.
And of course, he didn't pay you, and he sent this for free.
For free. It's a free app.
But yes, if you want to send us free
Explorer.
stuff or stuff that costs money and send it to us for free, we will pick that.
Right.
I might
or
pick
the other way around.
A case of oranges if you sent me a case of oranges. Just saying.
So Force.com Explorer there's a new version of it out.
So what is it?
It is an Air application, an Adobe Air application, so cross-platform, that allows you to run queries across a Salesforce database and test them in sort of like the old Sockle Explorer. It's sort of the new version of the Sockle Explorer that runs in an Air environment and allows you to, just test Sockle queries inside of your Salesforce.com instance.
Select name from contact where account equals prospect. Type of thing. That type of thing. Okay.
That stuff. Very exciting. And export the grid, etc. It's free.
You edit? Can you edit in line and have it send back up?
No.
Oh, well, that's what I want.
No.
That's the pay version. Premium.
It is free. Fun to play with. I mean, you can do this stuff sort of, anywhere. But I figured, why not?
For you Sockle geeks out there, this is your candy.
Yeah.
This is what you need in your life. So mine is we were talking before the podcast, and I was saying, I was running out of time to pick one, and I actually got a notice from the company about our service that we use. So I figured to kind of shout out to someone we use. We actually use a cloud content distributing network, a CDN, to distribute the podcast. For those of you who don't know, if you take a file and you put it up on a web server and millions of people try to hit it, although we have at least over 2 million people that are trying to hit our podcast,
every 3 minutes,
it will take down the server. So what they do, or what they've been doing for years now, is you take that same file, you distribute it to a lot of servers around the world, and when people are trying to hit it from their area, they don't go to the source, they get it from the local cache, if you will. So one of the ones that has been very popular and been around for a long time, I originally learned about from MacBreak Weekly, which is where we stole the CloudFocus app pick of the week anyway, is CacheFly. So we actually publish our podcast onto CacheFly, and then every time you click on it or it comes down through iTunes or through the feed, it comes from CacheFly therefore saving our servers and allowing for you to get the data. It's actually a great service. They've got great stats. We use the stats to see who's hitting on it, hitting on the files, how many were downloaded, what period of time. And they started about 19. They throw in about $19 a month and go up from there. And they'll give you. It's based on two different things: the amount of storage, the amount of files you put up there, and how much bandwidth you use up. And it scales upwards. And if you keep using more and more space, then they start charging you a little bit more, like 10 more cents or 20 more cents a month. But a really great service, CacheFly. Been using it for this podcast and for other podcasts for a long time. Never had a hiccup. The joke is that, of course, I got an email about emergency maintenance this weekend, so that's kind of why I'm making them my CloudFocus app pick of the week, and that's CacheFly. And that will wrap up the podcast. If you want to read more about Justin and his obsession with Watson, go to blog.arkusinc.com and you can subscribe by RSS.
By the way, on the blog post, there are a couple videos embedded. One of them is 22 minutes long, but I would strongly recommend, if you're interested in this kind of stuff, to watch it. It's really, really good.
Yeah, they are good videos. And our first shot at posting videos in our blog. So
yeah, why not?
There you go. If you want to follow the tweets of Arkus, go to twitter.com/ArkusInc. That's ARKUSINC. You want to follow me, Jason, just twitter.com/JasonMAtwood. And Justin here is at twitter.com/JustEdelstein. Obviously, someone else had already picked up Justin Edelstein. No, it's too long.
No, it's too long by
right.
one character.
So you could have gone Justy Edelstein?
I could have, but I went with Just Edelstein. Like, it's Just Edelstein.
Just Edelstein.
That's it.
And we're on Facebook, facebook.com/ArkusInc. But the best way, and well, not the only way, but one of the best ways to listen to the podcast and to get the updates when we record. Again, we record different times every week. This almost got pushed to a Friday because of a snowstorm here in New York City.
Very close.
Very close. We got 19 inches
Could've
last
happened.
night. But
19 inches.
we came in through the snow to record this podcast.
It was really 19 inches?
I think it was. That's
Wow.
what they were saying. They think we got 20 inches in December. We got 19 inches today.
Wow.
Yeah, and more snow coming tomorrow.
Whew.
So, go to iTunes, type in CloudFocus Podcast, and you'll see it. You can subscribe to it. It'll flow down whenever we put it up there. Put it onto your iPad, iPod, iPhone for Verizon if you want to.
Not just yet.
And then leave us a review. We'd love a review, and if you listen to the podcast and you like it, that'd be great. 5-star and above, please. Nothing below that, because they won't even let you do it. So don't even try. Just put in 5 stars and review it. We'd love to hear your thoughts. You can always hit us up on Twitter if you want to ask us things or send us emails or tell us there's other things you might want us to do with CloudFocus App Pick of the Week next week. But until next week, enjoy those cloudy and snowy days.